Hey guys, thanks for joining me. In today's video, we're going to talk about some of the more affluent and upscale markets to live throughout the state. Now, I know a lot of the videos I've been doing recently is covering most affordable areas to live, maybe specifically in southern New Hampshire, but ultimately not everybody is in the same financial position, and there are still a lot of multi-million-dollar properties selling in New Hampshire. And believe it or not, when you start getting into the $1 million plus price range, a lot of those homes are actually selling with cash. So what we're going to do is focus on some of the more popular areas, but more so areas that I recommend if you are one of those buyers. Now, you might be working in Massachusetts or Boston and you want to live in New Hampshire and commute, or you're working remotely, and then there's another demographic who also is looking for a second home. So regardless of which situation you're in, I think you'll find this video very helpful. Now, when you talk about upscale markets in New Hampshire, there's generally two that come to mind, especially in southern New Hampshire. And those two are Bedford and Windham. Now, if we look here on the map and we zoom in, I'll show you right where Bedford is. It's a very, very popular area on the outskirts of Manchester. And as you can see here, it's not too far away. You can reach the heart of Bedford from Manchester in as little as 10 to 15 minutes. Now, the thing with Bedford is that you can't really distinguish it too much from other areas that are around it. So you're more so just paying for the name if you want to live in Bedford, whereas you could live a little bit further out, get more house for your money, and not pay quite the price tag you would in Bedford. Although if you're set on Bedford, let's take a look at what you can get for $1 million plus. Now we're going to jump over to the MLS here, and I have it set for single family homes, and we'll search Bedford. Now there's currently 7 active listings in Bedford at $1 million or higher. So as you can see here, the most expensive one is just over $4 million. So we'll take a look at that. Now you can see it's a relatively new listing. It just hit the market earlier this month, and it features 5 bedrooms and 9 bathrooms with just over 10,000 square feet. And as you can see, it sits on about 33 acres of land, which is quite a bit for that area, despite being built in 1996. Now, the biggest thing that would generally come to mind when you're looking at a home in this price point would be the property taxes, which you might assume won't be a major factor if you can afford a home that's expensive, but it's definitely something to keep in mind. And as you can see for 2022 here, they were nearly $40,000 a year. Now, I won't dive into the details too much, but we'll scroll through a couple of the pictures so you can see it. But if we look here, it's very, very private. It's got a gated entryway, and you can see it's set way back from the main road, as it's up in this region here. But that's what you'd expect, a property in this price range in Bedford, which is a very upscale market. So it's not going to be a home that stands out, whereas in some areas, you might find $1 million home that's surrounded by all $300,000 and $400,000 homes, while that's not going to be the case in Bedford. Alright, so let's move on to the next area that I mentioned at the beginning of the video, and that would be Windham. Now I'll show you where that is on the map before we head over to the MLS. And you can see this one is very conveniently located, especially if you're working in Massachusetts. It's right off of 93, which is one of the main freeways in the state, and you can see it's just in this region here to the west of Salem. Now 93 runs all the way up in this direction north, and then it comes down south into Massachusetts, and the border is actually right here. So it's a great location even if you're not working in Massachusetts and you still want close proximity to Boston Logan International Airport. Now, as we can see, there's currently 2 active listings above $1 million right now, and there has been a lot of new constructions recently, but we can see it looks like this one might be a resale. Now, this one was built in 2005, and it's listed at almost $2.2 million. You can see it has 5 bedrooms, 6 bathrooms, and just over 7,500 square feet, but if you take into account below grade, you're getting close to 10,000 square feet. And while the lot is not as large as a home in Bedford, it's still over 2 acres. And as you can see here, the property taxes on this one are approaching $30,000 a year, and this one shows the rate for 2021, so that will likely be higher in the near future. As we look through the photos, you'll see that a lot of these really expensive homes have similar floor plans and kind of the same feel. But as you can see over here, this one's actually been on the market for quite a while, which is pretty common when you get into this price point, but when the right buyer comes, they go quickly. Now, the next location we're going to jump over to is one of my personal favorites in southern New Hampshire, and it's just to the east of Manchester, and that's Auburn. Now, I'll show you where that is on the map here, and if we zoom in just to the east of Manchester, you're going to see Auburn right here. Now, this body of water is Massabesic Lake, which is the drinking supply for Manchester, Now I have another video on the channel where I highlighted that lake doing a little biking tour around the outskirts. There's a lot of walking trails in that area, and it's just a very beautiful area to hang out during the summer months. Now the thing with Auburn is that there's generally a lack of inventory here, even though there's been some new construction recently. The biggest pro in my opinion is that it offers close proximity to major amenities, but it still offers a private, rural environment. Now we can see this one's a new construction, so I'm going to go with the resale here so we can take a look at this one. Listed at $1.1 million. And after looking a little bit further, it actually looks like this is a pre-construction as well. But just to give you an idea of what you could get for this price in that area, this is a 4-bedroom, 3-bath home, just over 3,100 square feet, and a total square footage of nearly 4,500 square feet. And like I mentioned, in that area, it's very common to get quite a bit of land. And as you can see, this one sits on 5 acres. Now the next few areas really appeal to those that want close proximity to the coast. And I'll kind of lump these 3 into one category, but that would be Rye, Northampton, and then Portsmouth. Now out of those 3, Portsmouth will likely take the biggest budget if you want your money to go far. Now if you're okay living in a more populated area and your house is going to be very close to others, you're not going to get as much at $1 million price point in Portsmouth, whereas in Rye or Northampton, it'll go a little bit further. And you can see all of those areas are right over here. So you have Northampton, and then Rye, and then Portsmouth right up here at the southern tip of the Maine border. Now there's generally some really beautiful homes in these areas, and I'm going to highlight them right now. As you can see, you'll find very expensive real estate, especially in Northampton, with prices approaching $20 million. Now I know this is probably unrealistic for a lot of people, but I'll just click on this so you can see what I'm talking about. Now this shows you proximity to the actual coast here in this photo, but if we look through a couple of the images, you'll see that it looks like an estate. This looks more like a hotel than an actual house. But this just gives you an idea of what you could find in an area like Northampton if your budget allowed for it. Although keep in mind, the price point here is also taken into account a significant amount of land that's included with this property since it's near 50 acres. Although if we jump back down here to a more realistic price point for most buyers, you can see this one just below $1.5 million in Northampton. It was built in 2004, features 4 bedrooms, 4 bathrooms, just over 4,000 square feet, and a total of just over 7,300 square feet. This one also sits on 2 acres, as we saw with a lot of the other homes earlier in the video. And you can see the property taxes are a bit more reasonable in this area as well. One thing to take into account is that Northampton is located in Rockingham County, whereas some of the areas early in the video were in Hillsborough County. Now if the ocean isn't your thing, but you still like being close to a body of water, another really popular area in the state is the Lakes region. And as we can see here, just going north of Concord, you'll see that Lake Winnipesaukee is located right here in the center, whereas Newfound Lake is just to the west, and then down here you have Sunapee Lake. Now of the 3 lakes, Lake Winnipesaukee is definitely the most popular and the most expensive to purchase real estate near. A lot of professional athletes and famous people have second homes in this area. Now 2 areas we're going to highlight would be Meredith and Guilford. And as you can see, Meredith is over here, Guilford is located just down here. So if we go over to the MLS, I currently have it set for Guilford and Meredith, so we'll take a look at what's currently available over $1 million. As we can see here, the most expensive one here in Meredith is just over $12 million, which has direct access to the lake. As you can see, it's a fairly large house, but the lot itself isn't that large. You're paying a huge premium to be on Lake Winnipesaukee. Now, as we look at some of these pictures, the house is beautiful, but you will see you're fairly close to some of your neighbors. Now, if we go back here to a more reasonably priced listing, you can see this is listed at $1.2 million, and it is a newer build with 4 bedrooms and 4 bathrooms and 2,800 square feet. Now, as you can see here, the lot is about a half an acre, but if we look at the map here, you are a little ways from the water, so that's something to keep in mind. Now, just to show you one more listing in Guilford, this one is listed over $5 million, and as you can see from the photos, a beautiful house which also has lakefront access. And really, the nice thing about living in this region is you're only about 40 minutes north of Concord. Now, maybe the ocean and the lakes aren't your thing, but you're really into being close to the mountains, and maybe you want a mountain view. Now, if that's a lifestyle you're looking for and you don't want to live way up north in a very remote location that's far from amenities and hospitals, then I would recommend this area here right in Campton. Now if we zoom in, it's right off of 93, which makes it very conveniently located, and it's only about 45 minutes north of Concord. Now you have close proximity to some of these very nice areas like Waterville Valley, which has a very nice ski resort. Right up here you have Lincoln, which also is home to Loon Mountain. So you have a lot of things to do within close proximity. Now to give you an idea of what you could get in this area for over $1 million, we'll take a look at a few of these active listings. You can see the first one here is just about $3.2 million, and the first thing that stands out is the beautiful mountain views. As you can see, this one's extremely private, and if we look over here, it sits on over 455 acres, which also explains the price tag. As we can see looking at a couple of the photos here, beautiful property nestled up in the mountains. Now the last area I want to touch on in this video is a smaller town that sometimes gets overlooked. And although someone looking at $1 million plus price point won't be as concerned about the cost of the home, there are some people that still want to get more for their money. And an area like Peterborough will definitely allow your money to go much further. As we can see here, Peterborough is located about 55 minutes west of Manchester. And the only downside I can point out about living out here would be the commute to and from the major cities. Your main route would be 101, and with only 2 lanes it can get backed up during times of high traffic. But we'll head over to the MLS here and I'll show you what I'm talking about. You can see there's currently an active listing of over $8 million, but what I really want to show you is what you could get in that $1 to $2 or even $3 million price range. Now this one is listed just over $2.2 million, and you can see it's an absolutely beautiful looking home. This one was built in 2008 and features 3 bedrooms and 4 bathrooms with almost 4,000 square feet and a total square footage of almost 7,500 square feet. And as you can see, this area would also provide much more land too, as this one sits on over 13 acres. And as you can see from some of these photos, you can get beautiful mountain views in an area like this as well. Although the one thing to keep in mind is that the property tax rate is a bit higher in this area, and as you can see, it's about $43,000 per year based on the 22 rate. Now if you wanted to be in Peterborough but you wanted something a little bit more affordable, this home here is listed at just below $1.9 million, and this is a new construction. It has 4 bedrooms and 4 bathrooms with over 4,000 square feet and a 13.5 acre lot. Now if we look at the pictures, you can see this one also offers stunning views and a lot of privacy despite being quite a bit cheaper than the last home. And although this is very expensive, someone watching this video in a different state like California might be shocked what you can actually buy for this price range in New Hampshire. So with that being said, guys, I hope this was helpful, especially for those that might be looking in this price point. And while I tend to focus on more affordable areas, you can still find very, very nice homes in New Hampshire if that's what you're looking for. So that's going to do it. I hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.